well-mannered. If you'd like to learn the proper etiquette, I'd be happy to teach you.
Exactly. But none of them believe me.
Selamat malam untuk penonton setiaku, Melogoblin. Seperti biasa penontonnya sepi ya guys.
I thought I told him to spray it with water to retain moisture before applying the film. You can't treat a glaze lily like a cactus. If Sanjay does this again, the loss will have to come out of his food expenses.
I'll go talk to him. At this rate, he won't even be able to afford eating cacti for much longer.
Hey, Tighnari!
Oh, it's you two. It's been a while. What?
We didn't have anything to do, and this place looked pretty lively, so we decided to stop by. But, what's with all the flowers around here?
Well, Port Ormos is currently organizing a flower exhibition featuring flowers and plants from all over Teyvat, so I came to help out. The exhibition includes flowers from every corner of the world, each with their own unique properties and needs. With that in mind, the curator commissioned a flower pot from Kashyap. Even so, an expert is still required to develop tailored transportation and care plans for each type of flower.
Oh, and that expert is you, right?
Oh, jadi ini ceritanya ada festival bunga.
Not this time, no. I'm just here to help out. The expert in charge is someone else.
Mr. Tighnari! Sanjay! He confused the poisonous bulbs with garlic shoots, and he ate them!
Sanjay gak tuh namanya? Sanjay.
Never mind. Forget about what I said about the food expenses. Apologies, traveler, Paimon. Looks like I've got something to take care of. I'll be back in just a moment.
Tighnari's busy no matter where he is, huh? Yeah, seems like it. Hey, don't look at Paimon like that! Paimon is super careful about what she eats. Well, looks like Tighnari might be busy for a while. Let's take a look around the port in the meantime. Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilia's? No wonder. It's getting worse. Why? But, I was just a moment ago. She didn't even eat anything weird.
time, you two? If it's not too much trouble, perhaps you could try this incense.
Incense? Oh, the scent is so nice! Whoa, that was fast! Paimon doesn't have to sneeze anymore!
Think nothing of it. From your attire, I imagine you two aren't from Sumeru either. Seeing as we're both travelers from abroad, it's only right that we help each other out should the occasion arise.
Oh, so you're here for the flower exhibition too?
I suppose that's accurate. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Emilie, a perfumer from Fontaine.
Hi, Miss Paimon! Thank you so much for your help just now. Oh, and this is...
The Traveler, right? I've heard a lot about you from the Steambird. It's nice to finally put a face to the name.
What happened back there? Why did Paimon start sneezing all of a sudden?
Emang nge-lag.
Have you ever heard of hay fever? To put it simply, when inhaled, certain pollens can trigger abnormal physical reactions.
But Paimon has seen these kinds of flowers before and nothing weird happened then.
Well, we're all different. The factors that can trigger a reaction to certain stimuli vary by person. In isolation, the effects of certain pollens may seem minimal, but inhaling various types at once can trigger a more overt reaction. But there's no need to worry. Pollen allergies can be effectively mitigated with the use of medication.
Oh, well, that's good.
Traveler, Paimon, there you are. I left in such a hurry, I forgot to warn you about all the pollen in the air. Emily? Ah, what a coincidence. Looks like my worry was misplaced then.
It was nothing, really. We happened to run into each other shortly after my arrival, and I'm more curious as to why you thought the Traveler and Paimon were in danger.
Remember the first time we met? You fainted after inhaling Spirit Borneo.
The Spirit Boreal didn't affect Paimon at all, and now she's the one suffering. It makes no sense.
It's not really something you can make sense out of, Paimon. There are all kinds of allergies out there, caused by a variety of different factors.
Exactly. I even encountered a case in Fontaine where someone had an allergic reaction to soba noodles their family brought back from Inazuma.
Whoa. Good thing Paimon isn't allergic to anything delicious.
In a manner of speaking, although you could say the patients I deal with are rather unusual.
In addition to medicine, Emilie is also very knowledgeable about botany. She's taught me a lot about the native flora around Fontaine.
And that's where my expertise ends, I'm afraid. When it comes to breadth of knowledge, Tainari certainly
Skip
comes
that,
out on
guys.
top.
A flower expert? Oh, Paimon's got it! You must be the expert Tainari mentioned, the one in charge of the exhibition!
Wrong again, I'm afraid.
Well, I did come for the exhibition, but only to inquire about the Auguste variety. I'm not involved in any of it.
Oh, I was sure she got it right this time.
It's a kind of flower that was once popular in Fontaine. The perfume made from it also bears the same...
Auguste, huh? That's...
In an ancient language, the word is said to mean sacred or... That reminds me. Are you familiar with the Perfume Mania? Was an event that occurred in Fontaine. It all started when several merchants released their own lines of high-end, expensive perfumes, marketing them as must-have luxury products, the very symbol of elegance itself. No one anticipated the absolute frenzy this would create on the market, causing the price of perfumes to skyrocket. The demand was twofold. What some saw as a status symbol, most saw it as a money-making opportunity. You could take advantage of the soaring price by hoarding them and reselling at even higher. The value of these products became so inflated, regular bottles of perfume were even going for hundreds of thousands of... But at the end of the day, perfume is just perfume. the market value greatly exceeded the intrinsic worth of the product, creating an economic bubble that was never going to last. Luckily, the Palais Mermonia recognized the danger and intervened before the craze could truly spread. Many profiteers, and in the end, only a few wealthy families were affected when the bubble popped.
What does all this have to do with that goose you mentioned earlier?
Well, during the craze, the most popular perfume was none other than a goose. The demand far exceeded the supply.
10 million? Then what about that?
After the mania ended, most perfumes returned to a normal price. Agu, its namesake, the flower used to create it, went extinct. As a result, no new bottles of Auguste have been made, and indeed, the Auguste flower was not a natural variety, you see. It was specially cultivated. When the bubble popped, all the flower beds used for its cultivation were destroyed in a fire.
But didn't you say you came to the exhibition to look for it?
Ah, yes. I came to investigate a certain rumor that the Auguste flower has reappeared in Sumeru.
Traveler, we should have Emilie look for it.
I have to agree. Emilie wrote me to ask if I could look into the rumor, but the forest rangers haven't received any reports of new plant species recently.
Even if I can locate the flower, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed, Paimon. I don't have any grand making endeavors planned. Divine, noble, one of a kind. All beautiful sentiments, to be sure, but to me, they overshadow the very essence of the product. When it comes to perfume, I want people to forget the price and the prestige, and focus on the beauty of the fragrance itself.
Wow, so noble.
Of course, there's also a more practical reason. In recent years, low-grade counterfeit versions of Auguste have been popping up on the Fontaine perfume market. Every so often, someone will claim to have recreated the unique scent of Auguste, and the rumor mill will start comparing the counterfeits to my own work.
Okay, that's more like the reason Paimon had in mind.
Ever since that rumor started, 3 new perfumes. If I can dispel the fanaticism surrounding Auguste, even just by proving, then I'll be free from all the stories and added meaning and just focus on making what I like.
That makes sense.
Oh, I would of course be grateful for your help, but
Well, you said it yourself. We're both travelers.
I suppose you're right. Then you have my thanks.
Based on the information I have so far, it's unclear if the rumor is true. Mr. Edgar also thinks it's too early to say, but you could always go talk to him. He was there all those years ago, after all. Maybe he'll know something.
I was just about to pay him a visit at the hotel.
Edgar? Who's that?
The person you've been trying to guess this whole time. The flower expert in charge of the exhibition. He's also the most respected and experienced back when he was still working in Fontaine.
I should also mention, he was my teacher, the one who taught me the basics of perfumery when I apprenticed in Sumeru.
So this guy was a famous perfumer in Fontaine, but then he came to Sumeru to teach people from Fontaine? It sounds confusing.
It's a long story. If you're interested, we can talk more about it when we see him. He should be staying near the hotel.
Oh, look at all the flowers!
Apparently, the exhibitor paid a large sum to rent out the hotel and surrounding buildings. They're being used as temporary storage facilities and lodging.
Yeah, what if guests come early? They won't have anywhere to stay. Also, renting out this big of a hotel, how are they going to make that more of that?
It's been so long, I almost didn't recognize you, Edgar.
You and your brother haven't changed a bit.
Oh, yeah, look, all this catching up is nice and all, but let's get down to business.
Hold on, we have guests.
It's nice to see you again, Master.
Emily, is that you? Oh, Spinny, I've heard you've become quite the famous perfumer in Fontaine. It would seem the student has surpassed.
Oh, it's all thanks to your mentorship.
Hardly. I taught you the basics. Hearing you call me master, well, I'm not sure. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but I've yet to see one turn out quite as accomplished. And who are these two? I don't recall you mentioning them in your letter.
They're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Emily's friends. Well then,
And these two gentlemen? Are they friends of yours, Master?
Of course! We're perfume merchants from Fontaine. I'm Oud, and this here is my younger brother, Blaze. Edgar and the two of us are old friends. Isn't that right, gentlemen?
Yes.
Merchant brothers?
You must be here to look for the August flower then.
Well, what respectable perfume merchant hasn't heard of a goose?
I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emily. We were just about to get into it, so you three might as well join in.
Nonton sambil makan, guys.
I
Boleh.
commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting for me. They searched all over Sumeru, but there were no sightings of the August flower. That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who claim to have smelled a unique fragrance on the streets. Definitely floral, but still distinct. Some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years ago. According to them, the fragrance smelled exactly like the Auguste they remember, a one-of-a-kind, divine, and noble.
Maybe someone around here just...
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Even if someone had a bottle, that Auguste is even more prone to that kind of shift. Only a few bottles
skip,
still
yeah.
exist in Fontaine, and their scent would have completely degraded by now. Although, could there be a flower out there?
Impossible! If a goose were that easy to replicate, it would never have sold for such a high price.
Technically speaking, the scent wouldn't be impossible to imitate.
Well, let's table that question for now. Edgar, did any...
No. By the time they realized they had smelled some, compared to things we see and hear, smell.
It almost sounds like someone wearing the Auguste fragrance has the...
Wait, are you saying...
Just thinking out loud. Don't pay me any.
We don't have much to go off of right now, but we can't rule out that possibility. You all traveled so far to be here. Why don't you rest in the hotel for a bit?
Ooh, you've got the keys to the rooms? Do we get free lodging too?
My apologies. All the rooms in the hotel are accounted for, I'm afraid. Most are being used for storage ahead of the exhibition, you see. I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute, but by the time Emily wrote to me, there was no more space left for her to stay.
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue. Guess that means there's definitely...
I should have been more...
Don't worry, Master. I can sleep on the boat tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. It would give me the opportunity to collect some... even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some...
Well, about that.
Of course, no trouble at all.
All right then. Oud, I'll prepare some refreshment.
Veteran yuk.
Whoa, the smell of flowers is so strong. Herman took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers. Looks like this exhibition is gonna be huge.
No, that's a florist thing. closely with the essential oils of various plants. But to maintain a sharp...
Oh! Guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite. Blaze, while you're out, why don't you... Blaze!
Yes.
All right then. Where can we find your luggage, mademoiselle? Blaze will go fetch it for you.
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back from Fontaine. Could I trouble you to bring that back as well? It would be the perfect...
How generous.
Is that so? Mr. Ood, Mr. Blaze, thanks for...
Hey! What are you doing?
That's Master's voice.
Edgar!
Master!
Hey, Edgar!
Who did this?
Kyria.
Kyria.
Hey, Edgar? Edgar!
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can... Oh, thank you.
I checked. Oh, that's impossible. Oh, the culprit, I mean. It's not like the culprit.
Skin is flushed, pupil...
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle? Oh, really? You think so? Do you think whoever did this was hiding in the flowers before? Well, we looked all over, but the only...
The most important thing we can do now is focus our efforts on treating Master. Can you help me move him inside?
So, how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and mouth. Master was most likely forced to ingest a syrup. He's still unconscious, and inducing vomiting could obstruct his airways. Ah, yes. The scent is this. But first, Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucien.
Oh, wait, you know...
Hey! Were you talking to us, mademoiselle?
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of it. There were 4 people in total. A researcher from Sumeru, responsible. The 2 brothers capitalized on the mythos. In the end, they were sent to the fortress of Meripede for...
And what does that have to do with us? There are countless merchant families in Fontaine.
Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond. But when I called you Lucien just now, the name...
Miss Emilie, out of respect for your position, you have a bright future ahead of you. You wouldn't want to develop a reputation as someone who throws around false accusations.
You claim to be regular perfume merchants, and yet...
What?
Amber wine is a perfume I created several years ago. It wasn't particularly renowned, but I'm certain any respectable perfume merchant unless, until recently, they were living somewhere completely cut off from the perfume.
Emilie, you little...
Serem gak tuh? Pawangnya ngadang pakai pedang.
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring this up to criticize you. No matter what happened all those years ago, the court has already passed its judgment. But Master's life is in danger. We need to learn whatever we can about the person who has done this. If Master's attack had something to do with a goose, I would imagine the two of you might also be in danger. So I'd like to trouble you for some information, if I may. Tell me about Kyria.
Fine. As you...
Sylvain!
Lucian, if this will help us find Kyria, then it will be all worth it. You're right, Miss Emilie. There were 4 of us at the beginning. Myself, Lucian, sometime down the road, the marsh...
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar end up in Sumeru?
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could... Still, Master was depressed for a long time after that. He stopped... That's how I met him. My parents had a... But we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher, Vijava.
Like us, Vijava was but... Before the Phantom showed up at her door, she set all...
But destroying all that evidence...
It didn't matter at that point, because she died in...
What?
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why even ask us if you knew all of this already?
The name wasn't mentioned in any of the files I reviewed either.
Kyria was Vijava's younger. He was just a clueless kid back then. Vijava kept him after our...
So, you...
Vijava doted on the kid. If she left something behind before she died, believe...
And judging by the liquid in that bottle, the Auguste flower wasn't the only thing he reproduced. He managed to
So the liquid Edgar was forced to ingest really was Agu.
Poison? No, of course not. No perfume is meant to be ingested. If a goose could be considered a poison, we wouldn't have even so... He probably thought we had something to do with his sister's death. We're not looking for Kyria, because we only would as long as we...
So that's why you never...
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, that's all we know.
Well, at least...
Well... Glad to hear. Lucian, let's head back to the room and rest it.
Yes, of course.
You think so too? That book based on Sylvain's tone...
The way you exposed them like that? Oh, right! Earlier you said you were only...
Oh yes, that's because most of the...
So you're, for...
Close. I'm actually a forensic cleaner. Once the forensic team and the Maréchaussée Phantom are done collecting in fact, with just a small alteration to the formula, thus basically there are 2 sides to forensics. I've learned a lot in my line of work, and I've witnessed a lot of death. But this time, we may still save the patient. Actually, Traveler, could I trouble you to report back? I'll stay here and continue to look after... Master looks a lot older than when I last saw him.
Whoa, why the rush? Did something happen?
What? Edgar was attacked? He's the most famous perfumer in the...
Sheriff, have you received any reports of a suspicious individual
No, but we've got eyes all over the area. I'll start gathering my force.
What about you, Tainari? Do you...
I'm sure the sheriff can handle things.
But she's...
Then she was far too modest. Not to mention the fact that Mr. Edgar's condition... As for me, I'll head to the academy.
Oh, that's right! Did you?
From Emilie's letter, certainly. But that was the first time. I didn't have time to look into it earlier. But I have friends in Sumeru City that can help. I'll leave you and Emily to watch over things.
Well, it's been a day. Wonder if Tainari's was... But things weren't looking good with Emily's master yesterday. We should check on things at the hotel first.
No longer in critical condition, thank my chemical analysis of a goose. I was able to...
Elemental energy?
Hard to say. It was such a... I had to use one of the newest tests developed in unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy. As for whether Master's condition was caused by the elemental energy present in the sample or some other component of the perfume, it's still too early to say.
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tainari come and find you?
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything since.
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to see you. Excuse me? Is Miss Emily here? Oh, perfect! Familiar faces! Traveler, Paimon, you're here!
Calling? Oh, of course. Tainari's apprentice. And please, no need for formalities. And
Okay. Nice to meet you too, Miss, Emily. Did Tainari send you here, Colin? Yep. Master and the others went through decades anyway. Based on what they've reviewed so far, Master considered that possibility as well. But the name wasn't the only dead end. How is that possible?
it's starting to seem very likely. If we...
Hey! Lucian!
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Curio came back, do you?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel just now... It's locked.
There's no one here.
Lucian! Lucian!
That's Sylvain's voice!
Lucian! Lucian! Come on! Wake up! Emilie, my brother.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain.
No, that's not.
Traveler, Kale, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge shock. He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door? It's not good for him to look at his brother's body like that.
Of course. Leave it to me.
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain, let's get you up. We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Poor guy. He's like a shell of his former self. He may have made some bad decisions in life, but...
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother, every hardship.
If Kyria really was behind this, then what is...
Lucien can no longer speak, but the traces... Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene.
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up in the air. Miss Emilie, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor.
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I just happen to have some relevant... I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the body, it...
Then, would you mind helping us investigate before he left?
Of course, I appreciate your trust. Many of the traits...
We'll help you. We don't know much about... And the windows are shut tight, too? Well, looks like we've investigated as much as we can.
So, did you find anything?
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
But entering through the room next door...
No, his reaction to the loss of his brother...
Then, what could have happened last night?
I agree. Also, I've made...
Witness my rise.
Pencet.
Mr. Sylvain, I need you to tell me everything.
After Kyria attacked Edgar, my brother, we returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our rooms. But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise. I woke up this morning, opened the door, and...
So, no movement from the room next door. No signs of a struggle at the scene. And no external...
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and there weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything. The more plausible explanation is that he...
A goose? No, that's not possible. Inhaling a goose would kill you. And anyway, no. Emilie, you ran your tests, didn't you?
No, I didn't find any common toxins.
See? A goose is harmless.
Kepencet
The
ulti.
market response proved that.
That may be true for most people, but not for everyone.
Master!
Edgar? You're up and...
Thanks, Sylvain. No matter how hard you may try to hide it, the truth...
Edgar!
Even if we could keep it a secret for another... No. He would never give up. That's Vijava's Yelena. It wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She was an...
Fatous.
The Fatui. Well, that...
Ah, so you've already detected it.
Oh,
The August flower was created...
A delusion?
The Fatui, delusions... I never would have thought a ghost...
Born of a delusion, August contained distorted elemental energy.
that's enough, Edgar. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the perfume and it didn't have any effect on ordinary people.
So you decided poisoning people was worth the risk?
Listen, it's not like it was good for business. Unless you were particularly sensitive to
It may be true there are no records of a goose poisoning but even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to market despite that explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena in cure. The Fatui, delusions, a goose.
If I'd known coming to Sumeru all these years without a goose was harmless before.
So there's bad blood between you.
What about Yelena's death? Was that a cover-up too?
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the product circulating on the market. But if the Mara shows before we can even put our plan in...
But if her goal was to destroy evidence, there would have been no reason to do that. Yeah, she could have just burned the flower beds and fled with her brother.
I thought about it for a long time. Everything she did. One of the reasons they defected after arriving in Fontaine.
So she...
If her true identity was the August flower and Yelena's own so in the end...
So the wealth you earned from Auguste, it wasn't destroyed in the fire?
Most likely. Before Yelena died, that's why Lucien and I were searching for Kyria. To take back our...
Why is Kyria out for revenge anyway?
I don't think he knew his sister. Yelena always wore heavy makeup around him to conceal her deteriorating appearance. She kept herself...
Then all we need to do is tell Kyria what really happened. I'm not so sure. Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. He might think Yelena was forced into using it. It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred. Especially when you've been living in that headspace for so many...
Very true. Even if Yelena's death was her own choice.
Edgar!
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been so blinded by grief, if we hadn't invited the Marechaussee Phantom...
She knew her limits. We were just trying to earn a bit of more. Lucien's crime. Fine.
3 people from Fontaine. Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it. I'm guessing we'll have to contact Fontaine's. With the exhibition, we don't even have...
The hotel could suffice, although with Sylvain's mental state and my visit...
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
If Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same fate. I'd just like to take care of a few things. As for Sylvain, I'm sure he also... would you be willing to grant that?
Well, alright. The man we grew to know in Sumeru.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
Happened tonight? Oh, you...
Yeah! All we know is that he uses a goose to poison people. But we still have no idea if he targets Sylvain or Edgar again, we might not be able to stop him!
That may be true. But what if we take advantage of this situation?
Master, no! That's too dangerous.
If Kyria learns, in other words, you want to use us as
Capture? Not necessarily.
Afraid? This is my own. I'm spending the rest of my life in prison anyway. As for the danger, everyone else just...
I'll admit, it could work. We just need to spread the word that Edgar and Sylvain are leaving tomorrow. Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel, if we have your assistance as well.
I still have some reservations. But if you insist...
Although, I think Sylvain and if Kyria noticed another person in...
You mean if he doesn't see a way to get his hands on the two of you?
If that were to happen, everyone's standing guard.
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
This old pack of bones.
Alright, we can figure out a plan to keep watch later. Right now, I say...
Have you heard? Mr. Edgar's been detained. He's being taken away tomorrow.
What? He's the one who helped craft all the fragrances for...
He taught my child how to make perfume.
He hasn't been convicted yet.
Oh, everyone on this... Let's head back to the hotel and take a break. To talk to you on the...
Thank you, Colette. But first, here, I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. Why don't you have some?
Oh, that's very kind of you, but I'm okay.
Oh, it's not good to be so tense, especially when we've got... You seem very preoccupied with Kyria's revenge.
Oh, Hey, Emily, Colette. Oh, are we interrupting something? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk through with you here. I've just been thinking. There was just a single door. When I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucy, maybe Kyria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to experience. So did he attack Edgar as a warning then?
Based on what we've heard about Kyria...
Losing his sister all those years ago. Whenever I get to thinking like that, I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't think like that. Not after everything he's done.
There's nothing wrong with the way you're feeling. Empathy is a part of you. In all my years of cleaning up crime scenes, some of them even try to stop me. Surround yourself with so while you hold on to that sense of do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to die? How much did they... Answering those questions requires a lot of time and evidence. Well, I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine, but generally speaking, death...
Once you're consumed by hatred?
You're right. The fact that we can approach these but that also makes us perfectly positioned. I understand Kiri's decision, but I still want to stop him.
The fortunate and the unfortunate.
Emilie, traveler. Huh? Edgar, you're here too?
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really
Kata
okay for you to be
multiplayer
out
tuh
and about like
gimana?
this?
Overpower.
A little exercise never hurt anyone. Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I've grown attached to these flowers, and this is my last chance to. I would imagine Sheriff Sham is here.
The Night Watch! You mentioned earlier that we still need to confirm our plans.
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area. Exactly. After some discussion, we concluded that Emilie's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch.
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
Not a peep. Has Kiryu given up on his revenge? Guess we'll have to keep... Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kiri's true motive was simply forcing Sylvain to confess his crime? No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for his true crimes, he could have tipped off the mark. There must be something we're missing.
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? That herbal blend from earlier was pretty tasty. You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like, oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, glaze lilies, and... Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear? Someone was attacked at...
It was the older of the Merchant brothers, right?
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain. Poor guy was murdered.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named Lucian, and now...
Listen up, everyone. This is an active crime scene.
It's been 3 days and they haven't even caught a glimpse of the guy. What's going on?
Do you think it could be the work of an evil spirit? I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many people watching?
Keep it moving, everyone. No loitering.
Pengek.
I suppose I'm next.
You don't know that. Kiryu already attacked you once, and you survived. Perhaps he doesn't...
You were the only reason I managed to survive, Emily.
Even if I wasn't there, Tainari was also in the vicinity.
Is that so? I have exceptional students, caring friends, and the respect that Kiria has. It really makes you wonder.
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kiryu himself, once we finally catch him.
Well, Emily, there's something else I'd like, but so many flowers were transported here for the show. Whether Kiria gets to me first, I know it's a lot to ask.
Of course, Master.
Really? Oh, I'm glad to know. I truly...
Sheriff Sham still has some questions for me, so...
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting. He can't...
I'm sorry, Master.
Lily still isn't back. I hope you didn't run into any trouble. Yeah, that's true.
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd is gone now too, but after listening to Emilie's plan, I started getting materials to be honest. I'm still not sure how the crime was committed.
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time. Let's go. I'll show you where the culprit hid a goose. Wasn't this incense originally in Lucian's room? This is it!
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before.
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly as expected.
A flower that only blooms at night.
Exactly. Although, the Neil Powell, that's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism.
There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower petals. It's one I recognize. If you stick the petals together with slime condensate, then in the daytime, the glazed lily would act almost like a hidden container. If poured into the flower pot, the liquid would seep into the soil. That might prevent the substance from taking effect. If applied to the outside, you would still be able to smell a goose even in the daytime. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right.
That's right! He applied a diluted form of slime condensate. That way, the agouste would remain trapped inside during the daytime, unable to seep between. However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous enough to prevent the petals of the glazed lily from
And Kyria could execute his revenge without having...
By the next morning, the sample of agouste would have nearly fully...
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of a goose is so toxic, inhaling the minute amount trapped inside. And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of this stuff?
That's because agouste is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago. The level of...
You mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy? That can't be right.
I wouldn't use the word allergic. You can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain and Lucian are innately sensitive to elemental energy.
All kinds of essential oils commonly found in alchemical products can temporarily increase elemental affinity. The incense I smelled earlier seemed familiar. Thinking back, in Fontaine, I experienced how drinking primordial seawater made me more attuned with the element of hydro. But that... In Sumeru, scholars use spirit-born... That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right.
Alchemically produced essential oils,
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru. Ah, yes. I definitely remember that.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so its presence wouldn't arouse suspicion. The flowers in the room could also serve to mask the scent.
Flowers are pretty important to this plant, huh? The glazed lily is native to Liwa, would be completely unnatural to have one here in Sumeru if it weren't for...
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel. He probably used the more Yelena left him, don't you think? That money was good in the end. It was just a tool for his...
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine. But up until this point, but because he's been disguised as someone else this entire time.
Creating such an intricate mechanism out of a glaze lily, setting up the spirit Borneo in advance, it all points to one person. The more spent to rent out the hotel, the way the Auguste flower was cultivated, the method used to disguise his appearance, it all points to one person. The boy who inherited... Kyria and Edgar are one and the same.
But Kiryu was only in his teens back then. He wouldn't even be 40 years old. Edgar's lived here for so many years. Even if he changed his appearance...
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just ran out of his room. It was giving off a really odd, but before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared like some sort of ghost or something. By the time do you think Kyria kidnapped him?
I need you to think very carefully about this. Are you certain that figure wasn't Edgar himself?
Mr. Edgar was so frail. I don't see how he...
It would seem Master decided to tap into an ill...
What? But that's so dangerous with the condition he's...
But why? Why would he do that?
No. If his aim was to target everyone who had a hand in Yelena's death...
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a desire to see him suffer, but to confirm...
Then there's still one target left.
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Let's ask the merchants nearby.
Ghost! It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath.
I saw a black... How could something like...
This is terrifying.
No! Don't come any closer! If we go any further, we'll be out of Port Ormos. There'll be hardly any witnesses.
It's all right. I can detect a faint whiff of this... It's this way. Please, follow me. The scent is getting stronger. This must be the place.
Oh! O's! Are you alright? Were you
No, I'm alright. I was just chasing...
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason, this feeling...
Everything looks alright. It was probably just the stress of the chase.
I can't rest. Mr. Edgar is still in there. He taught my sister how to make perfume. He's a good man. I can't... Oz, you need to calm down and listen to me. Edgar's the one we're after. He and Kiri are the... But how is that possible? I thought Mr. Edgar is 70-something. Changing your appearance to look decades...
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary measures to age himself. Kiria used a delusion to bring back the Auguste flower, corroding his body in the process, just like his older sister.
No. He couldn't have. Mr. Edgar has been in Port Ormos for years.
And what if the impersonation started before he ever set foot? I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kiria killed the real Edgar in Fontaine not long after his release from prison. While Edgar was incarcerated, Kiria started making preparations to replace him, including forcefully aging his body, studying perfumery, and planning the real Edgar's demise. The new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go of the past. He even left perfume making in favor of mentoring students, but these decisions and Sumeru fit the bill to a T, with no one around to question his identity. All he had to do was grow a beard, don a pair of glasses, make a few... As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued to refine his skills. It would have been...
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized Edgar back at the hotel! He aged himself decades beyond his years just so he could accomplish his revenge!
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not that kind of person. He can't... What you really need is to get out of here and rest. No,
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter... I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. Please come with me. I'm sure Kiria... No, Edgar wouldn't want...
Holly's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. From our brief exposure to a goose, it would seem the substance has little effect on us. This leads me to believe those blessed with a vision or capable of wielding elemental power are more resistant to the... Actually, now that I think about it, this stronghold... I hate to trouble you.
Thanks. Hear that? We're heading out. There's work to be done. Oh.
Traveler, Emilie, Paimon, please be careful. For someone whose only purpose in life...
Don't worry. This isn't the end. We're not going to let a goose kill anyone. Monsters. Perhaps they were attracted here by the increased level of elemental energy. I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff. clear that statement is true, then you know, Paimon, using a delusion comes at a cost.
Why would Kyria? He only needed a few bottles of a...
Perhaps hatred wasn't the only emotion fueling his Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers, but Kyria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life in Sumeru under the guise of someone else. For someone with nowhere to go home, perhaps dying among a bed of Auguste flowers just like his sister is the best homecoming he could ask for.
As the moon, laid bare.
I will have order.
A plant that destroys seeds. Huh, quite the ecological marvel. Let's head back to the place where the seeds first appeared. The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end. The scent of flowers is getting stronger.
Did they catch up that? No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter. This is far enough.
This is a garden of August flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all those years. Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but the reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden up, I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have died with you that day. Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Please! Yelena!
Emilie? I'm alive. No, that's not...
That was an illusion, likely brought about by the residual toxin in your body.
No! The amount of August I drank, it should have been enough. A fake.
We started making the preparations last night to create a perfect accord. The accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedar wood, rounded out with a base note of agar wood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I'm your host to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind. Hey, you're already got your hands on it.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed, miracles can be recreated. All it takes is skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Harlan took a peek through the window earlier. His house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharwar capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emilie?
I got it.
Did you hear it? Someone was attacked at
Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste, and then lied to me about Sylvain's death.
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed was the easiest way to get you to let down your guard.
Impossible. Even if you found a way to switch out the bottle, if Auguste was so easy to replicate.
It was a combination of rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias. Those ingredients would have, but recently, we found a way for them to work together.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias.
Auguste was created over 10 years ago. All this time, people never stopped analyzing it, never stopped trying to recreate it. Perfumery techniques are advancing day by day. We found better ways to extract essential oils, separate oils and fats. We eat the mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost 20 years ago, but no.
The past.
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always known that it is possible to make an accord, even if only in theory. But the meaning you assigned to Auguste became so inflated, you allowed yourself to get lost in it. Just like the perfume made, you believed in its divinity and grandeur. You believed it was entirely one of a kind. Your obsession with Auguste is also what allowed us to predict how you intended your plan to end, and to...
We just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Well, you hit the net, so... Sylvain, since you've been preparing your accord since last night, I assume you've also figured out my method, then. That means the news of Sylvain's death. The crowd gathered outside the hotel this morning.
Yes. If we hadn't, you might have resorted to the delusion out of desperation.
Who knows? Maybe
I know if you had things your way, you would carry the truth of Edgar's demise, and the... Sylvain only inhaled a small amount. All the crimes he concealed back then will be exposed in a court of law.
Is that so? Well, I suppose I'll be spending the rest...
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify my actions. Nor do I did what I set out to do. But there's no...
Careful, everyone.
Stick close. Hurry up.
Looks like I'm almost out of time.
Of course, Master.
The combination you used to make your accord. How did you figure it out?
The scent of Auguste is complex and varied, yet the main ingredient consists of a single variety of flower. So, as I was analyzing the sample yesterday, I got to thinking.
You're saying, Yelena.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, but if you cultivate a new flower species...
Rainbow roses, glaze Yelena.
Did you know? Miss Emily's releasing a new perfume! Right, I heard about that. I think it's called...
Seems like everyone in Fontaine is talking about the new perfume.
I was hoping to release it without such a fuss, but the news... I just hope it won't become the source of some new myth. Especially after all the... I did, although I made a few modifications to the formula to make the scent. Also, I was hoping you could try out the...
Of course! A good sense of... smells great!
It's alright. Besides, when it comes to perfume, commenting on whether...
Right! Do those flowers have some special meaning?
If I had to...
The language of flowers? Oh, we've heard of that before!
What each flower is said to represent varies. After returning to Fontaine, I did some research, and it turns out the meanings of those forget the past and keep on living. Perhaps that's the legacy Yelena always intended.
Do you think Kiria knew about that?
I paid him a visit before his trial and explained what I found, but who knows? Maybe she didn't mean anything by it at all. Yelena is gone. We'll never know what she was thinking. We can look for meaning all we want, but I'll never, even if that is what she was trying to say, I would never be avenging her death. That was the meaning I chose for my life. Kiria cultivated his revenge like a flower. He was in any case, he did want me to thank you for saving my life, for giving me the chance to learn that a goose could have carried a very different... Love and hatred are a privilege of the living. When someone dies, their thoughts, feelings, and intentions die with them. In that sense, but even if it's only a conjecture, the meaning we give to flowers, the symbolism we assign to our... And yet, at the very outset, they're born from the simplest and most beautiful desires we hold in our heart.
Selesai guys, quest story Emilie.